What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today we're back with Tony. Do you want to show us Unchained today?
Yeah. So you may have already had a video where it said that like after the Unchained.
Yeah, and then that one kind of got messed up. So.
Yeah, I didn't like how I went through this, so I'm gonna go through it again.
But better this time.
Yes. I mean,
also, you have 15 cards in the extra deck this time.
Yes, I think I may have gone over now instead.
Oh.
Oh well. I'm never gonna have 15
never
cards.
Gonna have 15
I'm gonna get
cards.
that anyway.
Do you want to get into it? Or do you want to say anything before you get into it?
Sure. So one of the things I said previously is that I generally don't like mixing Unchained with something else.
Okay.
Like let's say, for example, I messed around with the Unchained Draco deck.
Yeah.
And that deck had a problem where you can use the diagram to pop things, but they didn't really do anything after that. You got the traps, and the traps didn't do anything for you outside of just being a Draco deck. At that point, I thought you just ended up being minus half an Unchained deck and half a Draco deck, and they didn't really help you that much.
It just became a worse version of both decks.
Yeah, and then you had, for example, the artifact version, and the real problem is that the idea was that you can use ignition to pop your spells, but then what were you using to pop your artifacts? Because people said, oh, you could use Rakia to pop your artifacts.
Yeah.
The problem is when Rakia pops a card, you lock yourself into Fiends, and all the artifacts are fairies, so they don't special on themselves.
Yeah.
So then both builds were really bad. The best I got was like that Unchained evil hero deck, that hard leg build, and I thought that was really cool, and I took some inspirations off of that one when I built this. So
this is more of a more or less a pure Unchained.
This is more of a pure deck. It plays support that makes it more useful, but you're generally facilitating just Unchained strategies.
All right, perfect. Let's get into it.
Okay. So to start off, we're gonna start off with, I guess, the main playmaker of the decks. You have your two Unchained twins, Unchained Twin Rakia and Unchained Twin Aruha.
Yeah.
Both of them have a destruction effect and a float effect. The destruction effect of Rakia lets you target one card on the field as a quick effect and destroy it. And you're locked into Fiends after using the effect, like I said earlier. Aruha, on the other hand, lets you special summon itself from the hand by destroying one card on the field. So this one's more spammy, this one's more on your opponent's turn. But the idea behind this is that also when they're destroyed by anything except for itself, you can special summon one Unchained monster from your deck or hand. And essentially you'll be using these more than anything to float into your next monster, Unchained Soul of Disaster. Now this is your literally the soul of your deck in some aspect.
I like that pun.
You'll be using this. It has two effects, or actually it has three effects. Just one of them isn't as relevant. The first effect is that you can target one monster on the field, any monster, and after that effect resolves, link summon using it and that targeted monster. So you're talking about like a miniature super poly, except for links. It has to be a dark link, but there's enough dark links in the game to be broken. The other effect is also a floating effect, where if it's destroyed, you can special summon one Unchained monster from your graveyard. So you can have a lot of times using these, you can do a trifecta of floating on your opponent's turn.
So you kind of just like loop them.
Yes,
yeah.
But this effect is actually even more broken because of the fact that it lets you reuse your links and other things that were late game you may have burned out through.
Okay.
The last effect is it gains 300 attack for every Unchained card in your graveyard, which doesn't become super relevant until super late game when you summon this from the deck and it's like 4,000 attack for no reason.
Yep.
And that's how you kill your opponent at that point. But the idea behind these is that these cards, you'll be using these to facilitate blow-up effects to summon this from your deck or hand. And then this will be used to really out your opponent's board.
Okay, that's fair.
So that's your Unchained monsters.
Cool.
And we'll get into Spell and Traps, which also play a big part in that a little later as I get through the monsters first. The next two cards is a card that I think in the previous profile I did, this is on a different YouTuber for some reason. You have two Dark Spirits, Dark Spirit of Banishment or Dark Spirit of Malice.
Yep.
These cards are how you will be using to tilt your opponent throughout the entire duel.
Yep.
Both of them have an effect where if your opponent does something, you can discard these from your hand to special summon one level 8 Fiend from your graveyard. The additional effect is if a level 8 Fiend is sent to the graveyard, while these are in the graveyard, you can add them back to your hand. Except in the damage step. So if, let's say a level 8 Fiend like the Disaster Soul gets run over, they can't be added. But let's say you link away with your Dark Soul of Disasters, you do get these back in your hand.
So that's the reason why you play one-on-one, right? Because they just recur themselves.
Yeah, they recur themselves and they can only be used once per turn.
Okay. Yeah.
But specifically, Dark Spirit of Banishment lets you discard it when your opponent enters the damage step of a battle.
Okay.
To special summon the level 8 Fiend from your graveyard and redirect the target to that.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to go. Your opponent tries to run over one of your small monsters. You discard this to summon this in defense, a 3k booty, mind you, and then the battle just directly goes to them. They take a bit of battle damage, but you save your own monster. Malice is a little more proactive. It's when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can discard to summon the fiend, and you're using it more to like get monsters on your turn or around the disruption or such. Mind you, the monsters you summon off does have its effects negated, but more than anything, you're just using it just because you need the dark.
You also get a free body on the field,
yes.
right? Yeah.
You're needing it more because Unchained Soul is the way you're going to be making more sure plays, even if you're not linking with your opponent's monsters.
Okay.
So there's that. Moving on, we now play one Scarm. I quickly realized you could set Scarm and blow it up with anything, and that kind of gets you to search. And this searches into your spirits, and this can also search you into your tour guide.
Oh, that's dope. Okay.
Tour guide is a very unique card because it has actually a few decent combos with this card. In addition to being able to summon any of the Unchained twins to actually just crash into things, you can also do a play where you can summon the spirits from the graveyard or even the Scarm and go into Cherubini, and then Cherubini lets you dump another spirit to have both spirits set up turn one off of one card.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And like you can dump this off of a number, like you can dump the Scarm off a number of different ways as well, especially with a trap lineup, and we'll get to that in a bit. Moving on, we play 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rapid. This is the only hand trap I play, or hand trap monster base that I play, purely because it's the only one that actually kind of has multi-level synergy with the deck. There's more than enough times where I've actually ogred my own Rakia effect just so I could float into the Unchained Soul and Disaster without having to crash it. In a lot of situations when you're talking about the links like the Unchained Abomination, when things get destroyed, this will destroy as well. So having the Ogre to destroy one of your opponent's cards and then triggering Abomination to destroy another card is very powerful.
It's a pop 2.
It's a pop 2. It's just, I think the only hand trap that works out in comparison to like something like Ash.
Okay.
Because you really do not care if your opponent goes off, because you're more likely going to either break their board or disrupt their board in midway when it's necessary.
Fair.
From there, we now play, I think, what everyone expects, Kaijus. Disclaimer, these should be probably Radiants.
Okay.
These will lock you into Fiends, and it's nice that you can Kaiju after you've locked yourself into Fiends. But you want to play the 4 Kaiju just because when you give your opponent the monster, you can link away using your own Kaiju. And that's not bad. Sometimes the 3K beater has actually won me games, so you want to have the Kaiju also to out, I think, the problematic stuff that really locks you out of your plays. Alright, and that's the monster lineup. Moving on, we have the spell lineup. We have 3 Abominations Prison. This is your searcher for the deck. It searches for any Unchained card. Mind you, this is not an Unchained card, so don't loop into it. It also has, like most Unchained spell traps you'll be encountering soon, the effect that if it's destroyed while it's set, you can special summon 1 Unchained monster from your deck. Actually, just from your deck. And like then now you can see kind of where the synergy is. You can set something like Unchained Abomination, and then blow it up with something like a Ruha or Twins, and that's gonna summon your soul from your deck. Likewise, opening 2 means that you can always be able to search with one and then pop with the other one with the effect.
Each effect is 1%, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that means that this card is both a searcher and a play enabler.
Okay.
We also have the second Unchained spell or trap, Unchained Wailing of the Unchained Soul. This card is kind of weird. It's a win more card in my opinion, but the idea is that when an Unchained Link monster is summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and blow it up. It seems kind of extra. You're probably more overusing it just for the set blow up effect to get an Unchained Soul, but I didn't want to play more because it just didn't do anything if you didn't make your Unchained Soul Link monsters.
Okay, that's fair.
And it actually happens more than you think. Moving on, we play 3 Kaiju Slumber. Slumber is great. Not only does it in the graveyard it searches for your Kaijus, it also, the fact that it blows up your field is kind of relevant. You can normal summon a twin, activate the Slumber, that blows up your own twin. This is a turn 1 play, mind you.
You'll get the twin effect.
You get the twin effect to summon the Disaster from your deck, but you also get the effect of the Kaiju Slumber to summon 2 Kaijus, like so. And then you're going to just use the Disaster to link away your own Kaiju to end up on a link to Disruption and a 3K beater. And that's dope. It's a turn 1 play that you can do that really, it makes you it's much better setup than just set 5 and then pass. And then next turn you can search another Kaiju and then keep going from there. With the traps, you play then 2 Forbidden Chalice. I used to be playing Dark World or more, but I found the fact that I could set this and use it on my opponent's turn also really nice. And I think at this point everyone's playing that card now.
Yeah, Chalice is really good right now.
Yeah. We also play 2 Galaxy Cyclone. This is going to be your spell and trap removal on top of all else. You can use it. Its effect is when you activate it, you can blow up 1 set card.
Yeah.
You can banish from your graveyard, except for the turn it was sent, to blow up a face-up card.
Can you pop your own cards with this?
You can pop your own cards with this. So
there
you'll
we
be
go.
using this to pop your spells and traps to get the floating, but that means even in the graveyard it has a second usage.
Nice.
Like there's a fun video online of Hardleg using this card where like he first popped his own spells, did this play, and his opponent activates Mystic Mind, and he's like, "You poor soul, it does not matter."
Oh no.
Moving on, we have now our traps.
Yep.
We have our 2 Unchained traps. You have Escape of the Unchained and Abominable Chamber of the Unchained.
Yep.
Wow, these names are long. These two are pretty much essential cards. Escape of the Unchained lets you target 1 Unchained monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy both.
Okay.
Unchained Abominable Chamber, however, lets you reborn or special 1 Unchained monster from your Unchained monster.
Yeah.
So from your hand. So this one is your recursion, or when you brick with disaster in your hand, because playing 3 may happen to get you that. Escape is your disruption. You can blow up the twins on your opponent's turn to then like summon the spirit on your opponent's turn, or there's cases where you blow up the soul to summon back your link monsters. It's double disruption that way. Both of them also again have the effect where if they're destroyed while they're set, they'll summon an unchained card from a monster from the deck.
Oh, so it's nice that they're chainable, right? Because you can.
No, they'll have to be destroyed when they're set.
Oh, okay.
So you either you pick and choose. You either blow it up while it's face down, or you activate it when you can.
Okay.
But it also means that you can never brick with these, because even if you can't activate them, because let's say for example you don't have the Unchained monster in your graveyard, or you don't have a Unchained monster on field, you can still use them for that secondary effect.
So they're good because they're multi-use basically.
Yeah. Okay. Also today in a 20-man tournament, this was Twin Twistered and Heavy Storm Dustered so many times, and this sad days were made.
Yeah, that's really good for you.
Yeah. Moving on, we play 2 Fiend Griefing. Fiend Griefing is very powerful in this deck. The effect is you target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, shove it back in the graveyard, and then you dump a fiend to your fiend deck to the graveyard.
Yep.
What can it do? Well, let's see. You can dump Scarm, get searches. You can dump the Dark Spirits, so that they can be ready to add back your hand.
Yep.
You can dump the Unchained Soul Disaster to add back the Dark Spirits that you may have already had in the graveyard. And in a very, very weird situation that I've done before, I've actually dumped Tour Guide to get it added back by my Link monsters.
So this card is both disruption and like.
Oh yeah, like I've shuffled
Plus
back.
for you,
I've
yeah.
shuffled
It's like
back
advantage.
a Symbol Skeleton and Girsu being targeted, a Ray once, a Spinny.
so
Like
it's really
it's
good.
very powerful. Moving on, we then of course have our actual hand trap, 3 impermanents.
Yep.
The more ways you can shut down your opponent on your turn and your opponent's turn
better.
to link away your opponent's monsters, the better.
Yep.
And finally, we play 2 Trap Trick. Everything I just showed you in the terms of traps are all normal traps.
Yep.
Being able to activate something like this when you need so, activating the Fiend Griefing at a random time, or just being able to set this so that you can blow it up at some point, very powerful. And
So,
Trap Trick gets
so is this 40 cards on the main?
this is 44 or 43. I had to go a little over just because I need all of these cards in there. But a lot of times this deck is a grindy deck where having a few more cards is not a bad thing.
Yeah, you're also searching so much that it doesn't, I guess.
This deck floats very hard.
Yeah,
Today against the Sky Striker matchup, I had 4 monsters on the field, and and no matter how much he kept crashing, I still had 4 monsters on the field.
Yeah, because you're gonna keep recurring them.
It was very easy to recur with this deck. It's very once your opponent starts running out of resources trying to clear all that, you will start winning from there.
Okay, dope.
Okay, moving on to the extra deck. We're gonna try to get this as easy as possible. We have obviously our Unchained monsters. You have the Unchained Soul of Rage, Unchained Soul of Anguish, and of course the boss monster, Unchained Abomination. I'll get to this a little later. These 2 are the important ones.
Cool.
Unchained Soul of Rage can be made using an Unchained Soul monster, so no twins, only the big guy.
Okay.
And has an effect where on your opponent's main phase, you can target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and link summon using this monster and that monster to make a Dark Link monster from your extra deck.
Okay.
So this is disruption.
Yeah.
This is what you'll be making after you're doing a lot of your plays to stop your get rid of your opponent.
Yeah.
And most of the time you'll be linking into the other one, which is the Unchained Soul of Anguish. Unchained Soul of Anguish is kind of a carbon copy of the Unchained Soul of Disasters, where you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, not a quick effect, it's just your turn, and link someone away with it, summon a Dark Link monster.
Okay.
A lot of times what you end up doing is that you can do this weird thing where you link into this to make this on your opponent's turn, and then you'll be using this to link back into this on your turn, and just continuously loop the disruption.
Okay.
The additional effect of these is that they also have a floating effect where if they're destroyed, they add back a Fiend monster. any fiend monster. So you can add back Tour Guide, you can add back the Spirits, you can add back the...
So this deck does have actually a lot of recursion.
Yeah. Also, if I was, again, playing the Radiance, I could add back Radiant.
Oh, okay, dope.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of times where, like, for example, my opponent can impermanence this, and I'll still try to find a way to blow it up using one of my traps to at least get back the search.
Yep.
When you go past the Link 3, however, you end up with the Link 4, the Unchained Abomination. This card link lives and breathes destruction. If your opponent will get anything destroyed,
yep,
you destroy a card. If you run over something by battle, it destroys a card. If you pop something by a card effect, it destroys a card. On the end phase, it will always also destroy a card. So you'll be summoning this to really outboard, and it's with 3k attack, you're definitely going to be getting additional disruptions.
It's a lot of destruction.
Yeah. Strong enough though, this is not the Link 4 I make the most. But I'll get into that. Moving on to the generic links that you play. You play the one Witch's Apprentice. Sometimes you climb down into this instead of this.
Yep.
You can do that. Play the IP1 IP Masquerena, because sometimes you want to link summon with this into something that could do something else later.
Yep.
You play the one Galatea, because you can link away Orcus monsters to make this, which then lets you, for example, make this. You can also overlay your like Gamma Seal or your like Kaijus and Disaster Soul.
Yeah,
I've done this a lot of times to out Sam's here unbreakable friggin' Mech Knight Avram. Screw you, Sam, and your Avram.
Hey,
I want a Mech Knight profile.
only when I'm happy with my deck.
Oh, that's gonna be a while.
Shots.
The other one is, this is my favorite one, the Cherubini Angel of the Burning Abyss.
Yep.
So this is the combo I was going to talk about here. Well, if you know Tour Guide, you can summon Skarm, or summon the Dark Spirits, your choice.
Regardless, yeah.
You link these two away to make Cherubini. Cherubini can then use its effect to send the other Dark Spirit. Then, whenever your Unchained Soul Disaster is going to be sent to the graveyard, any means, you're adding both Dark Spirits back. Or in the case of Skarm, you're just going to get back the Spirit immediately. You're going to get Spirit on the end phase, and then somehow get both Spirits back.
So regardless, you'll have both spirits in
Yeah.
your hand at the end phase.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, this comes up a lot more than I thought it is. The effect to protect itself from cards it points to from destruction means that you can pop your own Unchained cards that it points to using your traps, and they don't die, but your opponent's monsters die.
Oh,
Or-
because the targeting is cost, right?
Yeah. Or in the super weird case, I made Topologic monsters and like triggered it using like this. I had a Topologic monster here, and then triggered the effect and just saved my monsters that way. Super
that's really
obscure, but you want to make this if you can make this, because it sets up your spirits, and your spirits will outgrind your opponent any day. Moving on, we have the one Deco Talker. It's the link 3 that you make when you don't have anything else.
Yep.
You have the one Trisbana. Trisbana was really good today specifically too. I played against Sky Strikers. I made Trisbana, and then I summoned a Kaiju to a link pointer that
that's huge.
it pointed to, and they couldn't activate anything, and I took 4 cards out of them and then hit for 25.
That's huge.
It's dark, so you can use your opponent's monster that way. The Unicorn, because sometimes you're going to be using your Rage into the Unicorn. I don't like it as much because discarding is not exactly a very resource regaining.
But I guess
feature.
if you need to.
If I have to, I'll do it, but I
Yeah.
generally don't. You have your Zervos, because Zervos is sometimes you just want to just say nuke it all. Or this is the one I make a lot, Topologic Bomber Dragon.
Yep.
It's so easy to end up with just enough damage with Topologic swinging into any attack position monster's game.
Yeah.
But what you end up doing a lot of times when you do the Cherubini play is that if you can continue your Cherubini play and then somehow make an Unchained Soul of Rage, you can link these two away to make Topologic here. Now, what you do is that now, most likely when you've linked away to make Unchained Soul of Rage, you've added back both Dark Spirits.
Yeah.
And there is also, more than likely, going to be an Unchained Soul Disaster in the graveyard. And this is what I call the golden setup. When your opponent literally does anything that you think is a threat, you can pitch the mouse from your hand to summon back the Dark Spirit Soul Disaster.
Yep.
To a link pointer that Topologic points to.
Yep.
Topologic trigger and nuke the board. Now that you nuke the board, you cleared your opponent's board, but now your own disaster triggers and summons back your Rage to a zone the zone that it doesn't point to.
Yep.
Now, if your opponent decides to do anything that threatens you again, you can activate your Soul of Rage again, link it away to summon something like Anguish, or Frigate. You can summon like Witch's Apprentice if you really thought it was too much. You can summon
You
IP
can link away to
Masquerena.
anything.
You can link away to anything. I like to link away to something that floats, because once you summon it here, Topologic is going to trigger again and nuke the board. When he nukes the board, now guess what? You're adding back you can add back a Fiend. More than likely, you can add back your Dark Spirit since you've used it in that situation. Preferably the cases you're adding back something like a Tour Guide, because that's how you're making this.
So you get double like board destruction.
You get double nukes and a link away. And more than likely, you set your you literally have your hand has changed nothing, but you got back an additional Fiend.
That's nice.
And then from there, like this, just beating down your opponent is sometimes how you'll just win the game.
You can just
3k hits, 3k damage per every turn is very powerful.
Yeah, that's dope.
And that concludes the Unchained deck. I think ultimately when I built this deck, I wanted to make this as pure as possible.
Yep.
And while I had to play the Kaijus, I think ultimately it did more Unchained stuff, which was more better against the meta than just Draco.
Because even against the true Draco builds, I've seen them, and it's like the deck is only as good as what it draws, because it draws so much, but it's only as good as what it draws, right? So if you're not drawing it into anything that furthers your game state, you don't do much, right?
Correct.
Whereas with this, it's like everything you're searching
means something to
yeah, exactly.
Like I could give you a few examples today where I played against Cyber Dragons, which is the greatest matchup of who wants to contact with who first.
Yeah.
But we both T-set 5, and every time he tried to blow up my board, all my cards floated, and that made it hard for him to continuously. And every time he tried to blow up more, my monsters, they also floated in the end.
Of course.
And that was super resilient. I played against Sky Strikers. When you link away with Sky Strikers using the effects of the Unchained monsters, they don't count as part of the effect, so you can't get back Ray. And that's super annoying for them.
Because the effect is to be able to link with your opponent's monsters, right? Not
it creates a game state where you can link away with your opponent's monsters. So you do that, that's great. Against a Salamangreat matchup, it was also equally annoying where, again, if you take away the right monsters,
a lot of the traps are dead. Like Rage,
a lot of the traps are dead.
Much,
but even if they Rage or Roar you, their monsters will float and they'll keep going.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the thing that's actually the most annoying is when my opponent drops Phantasme, because that anti-targeting protection can like stop you hard.
Yeah.
And I played against Mech Knights kinda a lot of times today. And when that, like, usually with something like that, you just have to, like, you just try to find a way to drop monsters in the columns that they can't stop you with.
Yeah, of course.
And the destruction cards are very powerful against them.
Alright, well, thank you for the profile. If you guys enjoyed this deck profile, like the video. If you guys want to see more of Tony, you know you will. Subscribe to the channel. With that, Spanko signing out. Peace.
Steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.